Welcome back to Bitcoin Generations, where we have logical and informative discussion for new Bitcoiners and baby boomers and all kinds of people in between. So I hope that you find this interesting. It's going to be a kind of a short rip tonight. And it's been a bit of an interesting schedule these days for me. Um, with family coming into town from out of the country, and then people going different places, and it's interesting. And I've had a lot of discussions about Bitcoin with all different kinds of people, notably my family, um, both here and abroad, and the ones that are in my house, especially. And I think you're gonna see one of them soon coming on the show with me, and we're gonna have some good discussion about 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 Bitcoin and about how the next generation is stacking Bitcoin. So yeah, so I'm gonna keep this kind of short, but we've got a couple things to talk about here. Um, I want to just quickly kind of jump into this story about um, all as fast as everything's going right now. Just things are just going by lightning fast. I mean, there's things that I've been wanting to talk about for over a week, and they're already like old news. And I'll kind of cover some of that real quick. And the first one is this story from the U.S. Federal Housing Authority. And let me bring that up for you, and you can see some of this is probably old news to some of you, but I think it's pretty interesting. Let's see here. Yeah, so here we go. So this is the U.S. Federal Housing Authority, and this was a tweet that was put out by the director of the U.S. Federal Housing Authority, William J. Pulte. You see this name down here on the lower left. I don't know if you know who that is, but if you live in the United States, that name should ring a bell because that guy is at least a second generation. I think he's third generation in the construction industry in the United States, and he has a large company, and he's done very well. His family's done very well. He's a pretty rich guy, but he was appointed by President Trump to this Federal Housing Authority, and he is a guy I would watch. If you want to know what's going on in real estate in this country, watch this guy on X. Follow this guy because he is very, very interesting. What is so interesting about this? Well, what's interesting about it is that he's issuing this directive to consider cryptocurrency as an asset for single-family loans delivered to these federal agencies here, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Well, you notice the language here is cryptocurrency. It's all cryptocurrency in here, nothing about Bitcoin specifically, but generically, and this is what I've noticed about this administration. They talk about crypto. They talk about Bitcoin and crypto and Bitcoin. They use the words similarly, but it's almost very clear to me that there's not a universal understanding about the difference between Bitcoin and crypto. So this is a generic sort of like reference to cryptocurrency as an industry that the Federal Housing Authority will be using that as an asset to back these loans. Okay. That is a significant move. It kind of flew under the radar for a lot of folks. Didn't really make a lot of news, but they announced it. This guy, and so he's had some similar posts since then, but this is he was scheduled he was going to have a press conference today, but he's pushed that off into I think tomorrow or maybe Friday, depending on their scheduling and stuff. They're going to come out with something very interesting on this, and there's a whole lot of I think there's a whole lot of kind of reasons just right below the surface of what's in the news and things that are going on right now about why the USA is going to be the Bitcoin capital of the world, they say. And if they do this, it's going to be very. If they do buy Bitcoin, which I'm sure they're going to do it all in a coordinated fashion, but there are lots of people loading up right now, right? Okay, so this isn't anything new for a lot of folks, but there's a lot of people that are just completely going to be taken by surprise by this when it comes full-fledged out in the public. Okay, so that is the first piece that I wanted to cover, and we're going to now look at a post from today on Cointelegraph. The Trump family has earned at least $620 million from crypto ventures, including token sales, a Trump-branded meme coin, and a 20% stake in American Bitcoin. Yeah. Okay, so there's a how do we just like come right out and say it? I guess I really tried to be politically correct for a lot of the ways that I discuss things, but man, I really don't know how to put this any other way. But but Trump is he's making moves, and he is taking advantage of his position, and he's making it profitable. And I'm not saying he's not doing good things, or that some of the things that he's doing is controversial. I mean, the guy is controversial by definition, just to say his name, and his name is controversial. So, but good things, bad things, whatever you want, whatever your view is of our president of the United States right now, he is definitely a businessman, and that is apparent from the things that he's that's shown right here on this post. This has all been confirmed by multiple sources. He's earned at least $620 million from his crypto ventures. The Trump branded meme coin happened right before he was inaugurated. And if you look at the Javier Milei from Argentina, that situation, you'll see sort of a similar, but maybe a little more of a grifter sort of like approach from that example. This one is a little more muted. The Trump branded meme coin was also put a kind of a poor taste in Bitcoiners' mouths, because it is like, you're trying to pump your own bags with your own branded meme coin, and to someone who's not a Bitcoiner, that might seem like just a fine thing to do, and why would you have any problem with that? But to Bitcoiners, at least to kind of pure Bitcoiners, where they, no meme coins, no altcoins, no shit coins, nothing like that. That's kind of a slap in the face. I don't think they really have an appreciation for that. So, hopefully all this works out well. It looks like it's going to work out well for him and his family, but that's the concern here, is that this guy is making a lot of money, and there's a lot of people that are kind of like under the radar, that don't see Bitcoin for what it really is. And I think our administration, I probably could do a better job at truly educating the masses on sound money, and I don't know. I mean, it's a very, very complicated mess in Washington, and the swamp and all that. So I think we're seeing all this play out in it's kind of scary, but it's kind of grifter-ish, sicky, kind of like weird. I don't like a lot of it, but it is what it is, and we've got what we've got. So, I'm thankful for you know, I'm an American citizen, and I'm thankful for the freedoms that we have. I don't take any of that for granted, and I kind of want to stop sharing this because I kind of want to move on to the real kind of the bulk of what I wanted to say, and that is, you know, we had we've had a lot of rain where I live, and it's kind of gone back and forth between heat and rain, and a lot of storms and things like that. And so, what I noticed was, just a lot of going and going and going. A lot of things have to get done, and just pressure to complete stuff. Well, I'm driving along, and I'm driving home, and I'm coming towards my house, and I get to this intersection, and I'm pointed in the direction of the sunset and the storm clouds and doing what they do, and it looks really powerful and sort of like imposing, but it's off in the distance. And right where I was, it was nice and cool, and kind of the wind was blowing a little bit, and I had my windows down, and I was just stopped at the stoplight, and I look over to my left, and there's this guy in a wheelchair that's about maybe 20 or 30 feet back off from the intersection, and it's like a park kind of like situation in the back. And this guy, he lives in that area. He's not um, it's not a bad situation. I mean, the guy lives around there, and fortunately, he's not in a doesn't appear to be in a bad way. But it just kind of stopped and looked at him, and I just glanced over, and um, he was just sitting there taking in the view, and just enjoying the outdoors. And I mean, this guy looked like he was a quadriplegic, and a big long beard. And I looked over there, and I just kind of paused for a moment, because I realized that you know we need to remember we're human, and we need to, in this AI age, and all this plugged in, and the rush of all these things. I mean, if you are in Bitcoin, you know what you have, or I hope you do. I hope you know what you have. And I just wanted to kind of like say that moment of just sort of like, I think I think touch grass would sort of make sense, as that's what it was. But it was more of a moment of kind of like, be thankful for what you have. Be thankful that you have two arms and two legs, and an eyesight and hearing, and you maybe you have some money in the bank, or maybe you have some source of, I mean, just be thankful for these things that we take for granted. Just 1 minute later, you can be like just off to the races, and really busy again. But when I saw that guy sitting there in that wheelchair, it took me back for quite a ways, because I used to be a counselor at a summer camp when I was a firefighter in Lake Tahoe, and the Nevada Muscular Dystrophy Association put on a summer camp up there, and firefighters would go up there, and we'd be summer camp counselors for a week. And it's absolutely a lot of work that these guys go through, and these people go through, that they spend their life in a wheelchair. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because sometimes we do need that moment of like, hold up, hold up, hold up. No, you got this all backwards. You need to be thinking, like basics. You need to be thinking, I am thankful for every moment that I have with my family. I need to be thankful to God for the life that He's given me, and just like stop, roll down the windows, let the wind blow over us, and just kind of take it all in and just remember, it could be so much worse. And so I think that was a good moment, and it reminded me of a lot of times where I was taking care of these young guys who were in these wheelchairs, and man, you spend a week with these guys, and they're just like, that's their life, and they look forward all year to going to camp so they can squirt their buddies with squirt guns, and they can, you know, goof off and flirt with the girl counselors, and just all that stuff. It's really just uh yeah, if you have never done anything like that, if you've never served kids like that in a way that I was just amazing time. But that took me back a few years to those days when I was a young buck, and I was strapping and ready to rock and roll, and you know impress the ladies, and be out there with the kids in the wheelchairs, and you know just serving people who couldn't do it on their own. I thought that was great time back then, and this sort of took me back, and it reminded me of, like, like, remember, you got it damn good, and don't forget that. And so I try to tell my kids that, but they they've had it pretty good, comparatively, I think, to a lot of kids. Just they work hard and stuff too, but it's just not the same um, but on that note, I do have a couple kids with disabilities, and it's a challenge. I'll tell you, it's hard. And so, but sometimes it's like it's really amazing though too. And so I don't look for any sympathy at all. I rarely talk about that, but that my family is means everything to me, and I'm kind of a private person, really, as you wouldn't know that because I've run a YouTube channel, or I'm trying to, but it's a hoot. It really is a hoot, having kids with disability, because it's a ton of work. But man, I tell you what, they are amazing. They're amazing kids, and I just love them to pieces. And my wife, I don't deserve her. She's amazing too. But all that to say, just wanted to kind of, like, remember those moments where you touch grass and it's like you're in Bitcoin, man. You are you are in high cotton. So uh, what that means in the South is, that means you are doing really good. It is so good to be here. And another thing that I'm thankful for is I get to go skating. I get to go ice skating and play hockey with my buddies, and that's at my age, to get out there and to go skating and play hockey the way I used to play. At least, I skate at least, get a good workout in. Um, it's a hoot, man. I told these guys, I said, man, every day that I'm out here is like, man, it's a wonderful day. So remember, remember those things, because I watched a video this week. This guy he's coming out with a book, and when I get this book, I'm gonna read this book, and I'm gonna share it with you guys. It is fantastic. It's kind of on the like a sort of a Christians' take on AI and transhumanism, and where that goes in terms of kind of like replacing the gospel message of faith in Christ. It's absolutely amazing. And I know I'm totally getting off topic here, but if you don't like me talking about Jesus and all that stuff, then you might as well just unsubscribe and don't watch my channel, because I'm going to talk about Jesus on this channel. Um, but I would say this was sort of a bit of a shocker of a video that I watched, because he was talking about, like, you may have somewhat of a clue about AI and the way that it is right now, but you may not know that what's coming is like the most mediocre AI that you'll ever run across is the one that we have right now. And so everybody's writing and everybody's content and everybody's like whatever you're making, whatever you're producing, whatever you're like coming up with, like you're going to be competing with AI. You're going to have to like up your game and to do these things. Okay. So this is why I think one of the reasons why a lot of people are like encouraging other people to start creating content and start doing something that's interesting, that's you're passionate about, right? Because one thing that AI doesn't have, it may have all the information, all the database of information from all these different things, but it doesn't have like the human excitement, the passion, the morality necessarily that comes from that's inside you. So and you know, you can get into all kinds of side conversations about, you know, where does that stuff come from and a lot of this and that and for and against whatever. But the point that was made in this video was that these things are happening and they're coming quickly, very quickly. And not only are you, if you're asleep on Bitcoin and the money of the internet, if you don't see the AI coming and the way that it's actually changing the way that we operate and things that we're doing um, via some of the other things that are coming as well, via the transhumanism and robotics. Uh, you're just going to be totally not ready for this, and so this is kind of a call to kind of be aware of what these guys are talking about, and the way they're talking about it is like you know, transhumanism. Okay, what does that mean, really? That means that they're going to be taking your cellular biology and being able to keep you from aging. That means if you pay enough money, you can like see if you can live it indefinitely. Okay, and you know, there's something about this I need to say to anybody who's watching this who's a Christian, and that is that it's um, your body is not your own. You know, I hate to tell you this, but you know, and that's just you know that's just you know the way that that goes. And you know that is a big time conflict, and you're going to have some trouble with that one. So anyway, so AI is going to, you know, kind of present itself in some interesting ways in robotics, for example, with you know, you're going to have all these different nanobots and things that can be injected through a syringe, but and that's nothing new. I mean, people know that and everything. And but I think what's interesting is you're going to have kids who are going to have they're going to have, you know, they're going to be introduced to AI through, you know, some little, a little, you know, little pet dragon. And they're going to be talking to their little pet dragon and they're going to be, you know, kind of forming an emotional bond with their pet dragon who's, you know, nothing more than a chat bot. And I don't know about you, but I don't think that there is anything behind that. There's no morality, there's no person, there's no nothing behind that. It's strictly a machine. And so you, as a parent, you're going to have a lot of, you know, crazy kind of ground to cover with, you know, you're going to have to make sure that you discern carefully how you raise your kids in this world of AI and like robotics. You know, I mean, you've seen the movie Wall-E. You know, they could have a robot that's like, you know, this cuddly, you know, looking thing, and you know, it's you know, your kids forming a an emotional bond with this machine, you know, and you know, you can, you know, it's just really kind of scary the way that things can go with regard to like, you know, people can be convinced to do things that they wouldn't normally do, that human can't even convince them to do, but an AI can convince them to do things. You know, there's even stories of people being convinced that they needed to commit suicide. So, what does this have to do with all this? Well, this has to do with, we talk a lot about on this channel about preserving your wealth and being able to use Bitcoin to do that. And I'm telling you right now, you need to work as hard to preserve your family as you do to preserve your financial wealth. So that means, what is that? How does that translate? That translates to, train your children, teach your children well. In the words of the old Crosby, Stills and Nash song, um, teach your children well. I grew up with that song as a kid, but I would say that train your children up and continue to you know continue to remind them that the connection that they have with family and brothers and sisters. This is important because if you don't continue that, and they spend a lot more time in online and doing transactions or some sort of like interaction with computers and less with humans, you're going to dehumanize humans. They're going to dehumanize humans more than they have already. And I think this is the kind of stuff that we've seen with some of these crimes that have been committed that are absolutely like, why would somebody do that? It's like, it's absolutely like cold-blooded, just they have no connection, some of these folks, they have these attachment disorders. And it's anyway, uh without harping on that too much, it's just, I think you get the point. You know, and so, going forward, like, I think one of the best things that I can do is to in the Bitcoin community is to focus on education, and to focus on, like, some of the people in my own family, educating the people I have right here. Um, and educating the people that are in my kind of nearby, in my local or regional circle. Um, and what does that look like? And it's so interesting. I was listening to a podcast today about how to do that and who can do that. And the thing is that anybody can do this. And it's like anybody could start a meetup. You know, you can start a meetup in your own town. If you're in like a town of 5,000 or 20,000 or 120,000, you can start a meetup even if there isn't one. You just be like the only person that goes, and then or you go with your wife or your family member or whoever your neighbor or a friend, um, and just meet up for coffee. And that's your meetup. That's your meetup place. You can talk about Bitcoin. Uh, but these there's so many things that we need to be, rather than focusing on Bitcoin. It's like, what are we going to do with this? What is the purpose? What kind of good can we do with Bitcoin? And this is the kind of thing that was stimulated in my thinking today. And that is that what we can do with Bitcoin is we can serve, like, others through education. And I've been thinking about this a lot for me. Okay. And so I don't know what it looks like for you, but it might be, you might have a use case or some sort of example or a vision of something that you could do in your community, and you could start a meetup. You could do something very interesting that works for you. But I think I found something that I think is going to work well for me. And I'm just going to start with my own family. And that's, I have people with special needs. And I was kind of thinking, like, man, that's a ton of people out there. And when I started thinking about it, I was like, I don't really see anybody out there doing education for people with special needs. I don't see anybody out there doing Bitcoin education for people with special needs or within the disability community. And I remember used to doing public education for the fire department when I was a fireman. And we would go out, and of course we had all the stuff. We had a fire truck and all the equipment and everything. And we go out there and we just, crawl around, breathe air out of the mask. And, like, kids are all like, whoa, and they sit in the fire truck, and they handle the axe, and wow, it's just like their eyes are this big. Well, the probably the most meaningful ones that I ever did was when I went to a meeting where it was this in Nevada, and these people were, they invited me to come because I have a son with disabilities, and I only had one son at the time that had a disability, and we get there, and I do the whole dog and pony show with the turnouts and the air pack, and I'm breathing air and all this stuff, and well, so what am I saying? I'm saying that, I don't there nobody goes and offers to do anything for these folks usually. I mean, they have to wait till people come to them. They have to advocate. It's not easy for them to advocate for their own needs and do the things that they got to do. They have to take classes on how to advocate for themselves and medically and for as far as resources, they have to take all these classes to learn about what's even available. It's an uphill battle for people with special needs. So what I'm saying is, I'm seeing stuff out there, with the Human Resource Foundation that Alex Gladstein does, and the Human Resource the Human Resource Foundation. No, it's not the Human Resource Foundation. It's, oh man, it's hrf.org. Let me bring that up since I'm stumbling all over that. Let's see. Yeah, it's Human Rights Foundation. Thank you very much. Yeah, so this is this is great. And I would actually just bring this right up here and show you this because it's something that I think is, something I've enjoyed the content that these guys put out. This is Alex Gladstein's organization, but he's not the only one that does this too, right? There's a lot of great work that they do around the world, and one of their latest things is this. Where is this right now? No, it's not over there. It's about no. It's, where did it go? I was looking at this earlier, and it's about AI. And nope. I don't think we're going to find it tonight. But anyway, I'll just leave it at that. Great organization, but they were kind of like were reminding me that this serving others thing is a huge deal. That nobody's really, I mean, not a lot of people are doing this in Bitcoin. A lot of people are really focused on like, what can I do? How can I get some Bitcoin? How do I, I need something, focusing on that. But I think when you get involved in communities of people, you're going to find out that there are other needs as well, not just trying to collect as much Bitcoin and stack as much Bitcoin as you can possibly stack. And one of the natural conversations that comes out of, helping other people is, if you help somebody when there's nothing expected in return, there's some trust that's built there. And in today's society, there's not enough people that are just offering help to do something for somebody else, really at no cost. And so I think, you do see that sometimes, and that's really good to see. But it's really great to see that happen. And then after the trust gets built, then there's an opening to be able to build a conversation around, the solid money, that the most sound money that's ever been created, and to help somebody actually save and preserve their wealth for their family and future generations. And I think at the end of the day, that's really what we're here for, is to kind of help people to understand how to preserve their wealth for future generations, because you've got family members who haven't been born yet that are going to be Bitcoiners, and you're going to want to save some Bitcoin. You're going to want to save as much as you possibly can for those future Bitcoiners. So, they didn't have a whole lot tonight to cover. Wanted to kind of try to cover this topic, and there's so much going on, so much to talk about, and not enough time in the day to do it, at least in this house. And at Bitcoin Generations headquarters here in Central Ohio. But I would just recommend, continue to try to build your community around yourself. Attend a meetup. If it's meetups aren't your thing, then try to find somebody that could go with you and make it fun, so that at least you'll have fun. Uh, but yeah, don't focus on these people who are like, like these, they've got all this Bitcoin and all this stuff. Just focus on the people who are around you, and that you can help. Just one thing that I did today, I have a daughter who's actually been stacking Bitcoin, and another daughter who's actually been, she had some Bitcoin, but she hasn't really been actively stacking it. And so we had a conversation with the daughter who hasn't actually been actively stacking it, and actually talked to her today, and I introduced her to the Fold app, and that she can actually stack Bitcoin for free with, using Fold here, in the United States. And she was like, oh yeah, she's a little preoccupied with her studies and some of the other things that she's doing, but she was interested in talking to me about this. And I showed her some things, because she's going to be meeting up with some of my other relatives up in the Pacific Northwest here the next week. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of point that out, that there's all kinds of great conversations that can be had, and these are people in your life. And I just, there it is. So anyway, I've got more content going to be coming soon. We've got a lot of things going to be happening. Got some interviews coming up. I'm going to have Brian Harrington with Fold. He's going to be coming on. Going to have an interaction with him, and I'm also going to have another guy, Tuan from he's up in Canada. He's a heat reuse specialist in the Bitcoin mining, and so he teaches people how to, and also does this too, where he heats houses with Bitcoin mining, and he directs the heat into your ductwork, and then basically you get your electricity paid for, in a sense, depending on a lot of factors, is how much hash rate you're producing. And so very interesting conversation, I think, coming up, and I'm going to be looking forward to that. You can like or subscribe. Obviously you don't have to. If you don't like my signal, then, absolutely don't want you to be, don't want to be cramming anything down your throat. However, with that said, I am thankful for you all, for the community here, and thankful for, continuing to learn more about Bitcoin, and to encourage people to get off zero and to start stacking and doing everything you can. So there's some great things coming, and I just can't get them out fast enough. So love the comments, love the suggestions, love the positive feedback. And if you got something negative to say too, you can feel free to say it. But I'm not responsible for my wisecracks if I have a response like that. So anyway, have a great one. I pray that you guys be fruitful and multiply, and have a great rest of your day. And it's great to be with you again. And thanks a lot. Okay.